Well, Everest, the mountain that demands the very best in people, can, it appears, also bring out the very worst. 7,000 metres up, the world's highest peak, a disagreement between 3 European climbers and a group of Nepalese guides, or Sherpas, erupted in violence this weekend. Now, this is the visitors' account. By the time the climbers descended back to Camp 2, some 100 Sherpas had grouped together and attacked them. The statement added that the Sherpas became instantly aggressive and not only punched and kicked the climbers, but threw many rocks as well. Well, the climbers alleged that they were told by that night, and I quote, one of them would be dead. Well, police in Nepal say they are investigating. The Sherpas are said to have been annoyed after a piece of ice fell on them, but the feud does appear to be over, with the trek to resume. Minigba Tenji Sherpa is a professional mountain and trekking guide and has led expeditions up Mount Everest. Speaking from Calgary in Canada, he's been telling us about the role of a Sherpa on a mountain like that. Have a listen to this.
The role of the Sherpa is, I don't think there's a, they have a big role, particularly in Mount Everest, they have a big role to leading the group, but I don't think they have any particular role. The member and Sherpa has to be same. They both have a big role, both respecting back and forth. It's pretty unfortunate they have this kind of thing happen, but it's not very commonly happen. And it's pretty unfortunate that how they ended up like this. And it's very complicated how that happened. We respect our Western and European climber to come there. It is our occupation. We really respect them, and even if one Sherpa fight, I don't think all Sherpa go together to throw the rock them. They do that together.
All right, I'm going to come back to what our guest there just said in a moment with somebody else I want to discuss this incident with. Next month, it will be 60 years since the first climbers reached the Mount Everest summit. Ever since, the lure of repeating the achievement has been of huge importance to Nepal's tourism industry. For more on this, we can speak to climber Byron Smith, who scaled Everest twice. He's in Siena, Italy, via Skype tonight, a lesser arduous trip, I would expect, to Siena than to the top of Everest. Listen, when I first heard this story, I couldn't believe it. I've been to the top of Kilimanjaro, which is about 21,500 feet or so. I could hardly breathe. The idea of a bruising brawl at that height seems almost impossible to me. How did you react when you heard about this?
Well, I just heard about this today, and it's something that I've never come across before. I've been to Nepal a dozen times, and, the Sherpa people of Nepal are a very calm, accommodating ethnic culture. This is really out of character if in fact it happened the way it's being described in the news. I just don't know how this could have evolved into such a melee.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Let me bring a map up so our viewers get a sense of, first of all, how high these guys were with so little oxygen and in a position still to fight, and what allegedly happened. You see base camp and then sort of section 1, 2, and 3 up here, and then the top, and the couple of climbers were alleged by the Sherpas to have ignored orders to hold their climb. And they'd actually triggered an ice fall, it's alleged, which hit the Sherpas, who were laying down fixed ropes for another climb, which does beg the question. This brings me back to my climb on Kili. There are an awful lot of people on this mountain these days. When we were climbing Kilimanjaro, it was almost like the morning commute to a global city. Are there too many people up there trying to do too much? And are things like this going to happen in the future? You say that this is the exception that proves the rule as far as you're concerned, but is it really? Do you think going forward?
What? Mount Everest is the big mountain. It can take and handle a lot of people on it. People are competitive. Altitude does different things to different people, and they can react emotionally differently at sea level than they will at 23,700 feet, of which Camp 3 is at approximately. So who knows what went on and how it was triggered and what really caused the rush of adrenaline to take place. But at that altitude, I mean, for the most part, people are not going to have the ability to start scrapping and fighting. Really, I mean, you can have verbal arguments, but to really take it physically, I would think that that's a very rare occasion.
Yeah, and I by no means want to sort of dismiss the importance of this out of hand, but when I say that, you know, I could hardly breathe at 21,500 feet, I cannot imagine the idea of having a sort of brawl or brutal row with anybody at that height. Anyway, there you go. It happened, and apparently it's all sorted out. I'm going to have to move on, mate. Thank you.